everyone, what's up? Today we are doing a review of Wind Waker and I'm super excited to do this review because this one, just like Twilight Princess, is kind of a cult classic within the Zelda community. Everyone loves Wind Waker. If you guys are new to this channel, I am playing every Zelda game chronologically and we are in the first game of the adult timeline, and I have all the other previous games up on my channel in a playlist if you guys want to check that out. I would so appreciate it. But yeah, let's just get into the first rating. So for the first rating, we are doing controls. So I did play this game on a emulator, as I've been doing a lot of games recently, just because I don't have access to all the Nintendo consoles that they came out on, sadly, but the emulators have worked great, which is wonderful because when I was first told I needed to use an emulator, I was a little suspicious. I didn't even know what those were, right? But I've been downloading mods for, you know, my Sims 3 game since I was little, so I was like, literally, what's the worst that could happen? So I just used an Xbox controller like I've been using, and it worked swimmingly. As always, it probably didn't work as well as it would have on the original console it came out on, but I give it a 9 out of 10 for controls. Onto the next category is storyline and lore. So I'll be so honest, when I started this game, I was like, why are we underwater? Why are there islands? What happened to Hyrule? What is going on? So this game is very storyline and lore, but kind of individually. But definitely this is the only game so far where you're on an island, where you're boating around. Like, it was very different than past games, and I was like, why? So with that being said, this game builds on its own storyline and lore on what happened to Hyrule, why are there islands, why is the whole world underwater? It also talks about the previous Link, the hero of time, and what happened to him. There's of course the Master Sword, which in most Zelda games is this big deal when you get, and when you achieve this Master Sword, you know, that makes you the true hero. So of course there's lore surrounding that. I don't want to give spoilers if you haven't played it. We find out who becomes Zelda, and Ganon in this game, I had heard rumors that you really sympathize with him, and he's like the most genius form of Ganon that we've seen. I personally, as somebody who tries to see, you know, everyone's side of the story, I didn't necessarily feel that way towards this Ganondorf. I was just kind of like, okay, like, you slap kids around. I'll probably insert the clip. Oh god. Did he just sucker punch a child? No, I need her. And his whole premise is, of course, to get all the Triforce pieces. So he has the power, he wants the wisdom, and he wants the courage. But just going into the lore on why Hyrule's underwater and to see Hyrule later on in the game, it was great, and I really enjoyed that aspect. I just was like, this is coming from left field, you know? Like, what is this game? You know, why are we here? But I think the story was written well and explained very well why what's happened has happened. There's just different bits of the storyline and lore, like when you go into the little safe place, I forget what it's called, under the castle to get the Master Sword. There's different stained glass windows that have all the sages on them. It brought back pieces of other games without taking away its individuality of this game. So with that being said, I would give the storyline and lore a 9 out of 10 just because it was so unique and special to this game, but it brought back other games. It wasn't completely brand new stuff and forgetting the rest, which was just what I personally wanted to see at the beginning of a new timeline, was just acknowledging the past timeline. The next category is gameplay. Like I said, this is a very unique individual game from past games that we have seen, and the gameplay was very interesting. Like, how you travel is via boat, and you run into different people on the water who are trying to attack you, different ships, different sea monsters. You run into this frog man who looks like a booble frog from Tears of the Kingdom who's trying to attack you with a tornado. There is a part of the gameplay I have a little bone to pick. So I just want to state, I didn't play the HD version. I chose to emulate the original version. As I finished the game, I hated a lot less, but I really did not like that you have to get the Triforce charts, then you have to go and get the Triforce shards. I thought it was going to be this whole fandangle, to be honest. I thought you're going to have to, you know, spend an hour getting the charts, spend an hour getting the shards. In reality, the charts were the hard part, and the shards you just reached underwater and grabbed. It wasn't that bad, but they definitely could have taken out one or the other, which I think I've heard that in the HD version, they take out finding the charts, and you just have to go get the shards, which I think is absolutely fair. I really enjoyed how the game was set up. There wasn't a lot of backtracking. You go and get Din, Feore, and Nehru's pearls. Then you have to go get the Triforce pieces, the Triforce charts, like I mentioned, then the Triforce pieces, you have to go get the Master Sword. There's just a lot to do without backtracking, and of course you can go explore the different island pieces because it's broken up, you know, kind of like a battleship map, and you can just explore through each island if you want, which is, you know, it's great. It's open world, you can do what you want, you can talk to who you want. The bosses in this game weren't too bad at all. I had a lot of fun with them. I thought they improved on your skills more than anything, rather than, this is so challenging. I do have a bone to pick with the first boss though. The first boss you fight is where you have to use your grappling hook, but you have to reach above this guy, but at the same time this guy's swinging at you, so I couldn't get the timing down on when to throw the rope. I hate this. This is my hardest boss in this entire game. Ganon? Sure, fine, cool, easy peasy. This guy is my arch nemesis. He was probably just a skill issue. I take full responsibility. But other than that, the bosses were pretty easy. The third phase of the puppet Ganon, I believe, is the name of the boss. They don't have the titles like they normally do of the name of the boss. The third phase, when it's like a little fish, that was hard. Until I realized you could stun him with a bomb and then shoot his, you know, little butt. Then it got easier. But I was like trying to shoot while he's, you know, moving around, and I'm like, okay, they wanted to make this a challenge. Oh my god, oh my god, one more? I got him, come on. But the final boss with Ganon wasn't too bad. It was more cinematic than anything, which I enjoyed. Did he just stab him in the head? You can go to Tingle Island, which of course has its own whole story because Tingle kidnaps the sailor who washed up and made him into a fairy, and Tingle's like, oh yeah, fairies run my windmill, when in reality, you know, it's these poor men that he's making work. But overall, the mobs weren't too hard, bosses were fine. The gameplay is just gorgeous of, you know, traveling on the waters and seeing what you run into. So overall, I would give the gameplay an 8 out of 10. Like a few Zelda games we've covered so far, the side quests aren't, you know, a little chart that says you have these side quests activated. You kind of just walk up to people and they ask you to do stuff and you do it. I did a few of the side quests and I enjoyed them. There was a good amount of mini games and puzzles and people you could help. It wasn't too strenuous. Like Koroks wanted you to help replant the Deku tree, so you had to go get water from this specific area. People needed items and you needed to go retrieve those items. Just very basic to Zelda side quests where they ask you to do stuff, you go and do it. So very up to you if you didn't even want to do that. Side characters, I enjoyed everyone I talked to. For example, Mrs. Marie, which was the teacher who needed the little butterfly joy pendants, I think they're called. Every different island you went to, there was just fun people, and it was fun to get to know each character on the extent that you could because everyone had such unique personalities. So with that being said, I would give these side quests and side characters an 8 out of 10. In conclusion, we have a 9 out of 10 in controls, we have a 9 out of 10 in storyline and lore, we have an 8 out of 10 in gameplay, and we also have an 8 out of 10 in side quests and side characters. Which leaves us with an 85%, roughly a B, which is pretty good. I really enjoyed Wind Waker. The music, so amazing. Take this in no offense, but the music was probably my favorite part of the game. Knocked it out of the park. I don't know who was in charge of the music in this game, but they crushed it. I like the whole ambiance of this game and how it was cute and fun and light and just airy. I just think that they did so great on this game. Like I say in most Zelda games, it's just, its individuality was wonderful. I can absolutely see why this is such a fan favorite amongst people who play Zelda. Not only is it a lot of first time Zelda players' first game, or when they were a kid, this was the first game they played. It's a classic. It's a great game to play if you are into the Zelda series. So with that being said, I still would absolutely recommend you playing this game. I think it's really important to the storyline and lore-wise of this specific timeline. And I'm excited to play the other games in this timeline to see what happens. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one, which I believe is Phantom Hourglass, which is still a water-based Zelda game. See you guys all later. Bye guys.